What's the weirdest thing you've seen happen at a friend's house that they thought was normal? When I was in high school, a friend asked me and 2 other friends to his house for dinner. His mom served homemade bean soup, which was very good. Toward the end of the main course, she brought out chocolate cake for dessert. She cut each of us a slice and plopped it into our bowls, in which we each still had about an inch of soup. Us guests exchanged puzzled glances, but the family dug right in. So apparently chocolate cake soaked in bean soup was an ordinary thing for them. What the frick? This is the only correct response. My childhood best friend lived with his grandparents. His grandfather was a clockmaker. He mostly restored them. Their large 2-story house's walls were covered in old restored grandfather and cuckoo clocks. Each one had a small sticker with a number, so he could keep track of them all. The highest number one saw was over 700. I would say 25% of them were wound, so every hour you were treated to a symphony of clocks. I didn't appreciate it when I was a kid, but those clocks were fantastic pieces of workmanship. For all the creepy stories on this thread, this one is nice and wholesome. This happened when I was like 6. I needed to use the bathroom at a friend's house, and he led me to his parents' bathroom. The place was filled with crap of all sorts. Boxes, magazines, an inflatable pool, lots of other stuff. You could barely get in there. He pulled out a drawer from the installed cabinet by the entryway and said to pee in there. I thought he was joking until he went ahead and peed in there himself. I couldn't argue with that, so I too peed right in there. Then he shut the drawer and we went and played more Ninja Turtles. I have no idea what became of that drawer / house / family. Mom found the piss drawer. Rich friend's family had rooms not touched in weeks that had vomit on the bed sheets from one of their parties. Sounds like the maid walked off. My mother-in-law used to clean houses. The wealthiest people were also the most helpless. Once she cleaned up a mouse that had been dead for a week. The family just stepped around it. Someone was in the bathroom, so the kid who lived there went into the back garden, took a crap in the flower bed, and shoveled dirt on top of it. The bathroom was free by the time he'd finished. Saw my friend spit in her house, straight onto the carpet. I didn't go back. It's been a full 90 seconds since I read this, and I still can't focus enough to move on to the next one. I'm learning that it's the filthy people who shock me. I guess I expect perverts, but peeing in bathroom drawers and spitting on the carpet is too much for me. When I was a kid, the neighbor's TV was always at 75% volume or higher. They'd literally sit in the living room and scream at each other over the TV on blast. My partner's friends do this but with music. The dad always has the music on full blast, so everyone has to yell to have a conversation. I hate going to their house. Also, I hate having them over because, since they have to yell at home, they talk that way all the time. They're just super loud all the time. They're really nice people, but I can't stand being around them. Maybe they all have hearing damage at this point. One time I was at my friend's house while his dad was working late. His mom brought home 2 Little Caesar pizzas for us, his brother and his parents. By the time his dad got home from work, there was no pizza. So his dad just made himself a salad for dinner and no one got screamed at until they cried. I'm sorry dude. I was shocked the first time I saw normal parents too. Posts and threads like this make me realize I take a lot of things in my life for granted that I should appreciate more. I have an opposite one because I had the weird family. In high school I had a sleepover, and one friend went to the kitchen in the middle of the night and saw my dad inebriated, in his underwear and stained shirt, on his knees in front of the fridge drinking mustard out of the bottle. Monday rolls around, and the rumors have spread, and I was like, wait, all your dads don't do that too? BTW, he did in fact have his own separate mustard bottle. This just reeks of questions I'm afraid to ask. Safe to say dad and a drinking problem. I had a friend in high school whose mother was from Jamaica. His family would colon cleanse together every year. I guess it was customary from his mom's culture. So literally they'd take medicine to make themselves crap their brains out for a day or 2 every year. Notable mention, they only had 1 bathroom. My Caribbean mother's just been crapping herself hollow. Jamaica? No, she took the laxatives herself. So you made me snort on a bus. X5 amount of smoke alarm battery warning beeps, all going off every 10 minutes. No need to replace the batteries. Just get used to the beeps going off randomly, and then sometimes all at the same time. How do you live, or even sleep with that happening? This was a huge thing while teaching virtually this year. My mom's a teacher. She talks about this all the time. She got to the point where she started calling the fire station and having them send someone over to change their batteries and explain that the beeping isn't normal anytime she heard it. A neighbor's dad was an avid fisherman and he would use these electrode things in the lawn to get worms to come up that he was gonna use as bait. He would also eat some of the first ones to come up to check if they tasted right. If not, he would remove the electrodes and try again another day. Now I need to know how they're supposed to taste and why this man knows what fish like in a bait worm. I remember asking what they were supposed to taste like, and I never really got a clear answer. I didn't think to ask him how he knew what they liked though. Serve ice cream with their hands. Crime. When I was 9 or 10, I stayed at this friend's house for the first time. So we were sitting at the kitchen table eating noodles and his mum said something, to which he screamed back at her, "Get screwed, Sharon." She didn't even bat an eyelid, didn't even care. I couldn't help thinking what would happen if I tried that at home. It would have been at least an ass whooping. Were you eating with the Osbournes? Lol. No, just a rural New Zealand thing I guess. Everyone took their shirts off at the dinner table, yeah. I like this one a lot. It's harmless but so weird. Hey, you hungry? EHH a little, but not enough to take off this button up. My friend got backhanded across his kitchen. He slid across the floor to me. After about a 5 count, he got up and we went and played chess. Future chess boxing champ right there. His mom walking around topless barking at your list while we just sat around the coffee table working on homework. She was a single mom working multiple jobs. They were latchkey kids. They didn't even bat an eyelash, but the minute she saw a new face sitting on the rug boring a hole into the distant wall, she shifted on a dime, ducked into the mudroom, threw on her bra and work shirt, and brought out a carton of Oreos from a secret stash, and was pretty much shocked into silence. I think she was terrified I'd misappropriated to my parents, but all we cared about was cookies. Sounds like that one scene from Malcolm in the Middle, when topless Lois answers the door for Malcolm's teacher. A roughly 4 feet long python roaming free around the room at a gathering with guests. Snake was chill as heck but still. Bruh, who you hanging out with? Voldemort. Best part was, I crashed on the couch wasted with the snake still loose in the room. That was one chill big snake. One of the first times I met my husband's family, I was over at their house and the husband gestured for me to sit down and be comfortable. Their house was really very cluttered. Not quite a hoarder cluttered, but close. They had a couple of couches facing each other and then some other chairs. Not knowing the rules, I sat on one of the couches, which had a lot of stuffed teddy bears on it. OMG, you would think I had sat down on live bears. There were probably 20-30 small medium stuffed bears on this couch. The husband's mother and twin brother both visibly reacted as if I had damaged the bears. Not antique bears either. That was when I was told that the couch was for the bears and only for the bears, and that no one was allowed to sit on the bears couch. Just the bears. The bears all had little beaded necklaces with their names on them to tell them apart, because they were all the same brand and style. And you married him after the bear eating snafu? Op can't reply. There is another bear on that sofa now with the cutest little necklace hanging round its neck. Floridian Rudder, it says. Such curious affairs. My friend's mom always gave me a box of food when I came over. One day as I left, she just handed me a box of Hot Pockets, as if it was just a small trinket. One of my best friend's parents do this. It actually saved my ass a couple really tight months. Honestly, handing me a box of groceries is better than handing me a $20 bill. They also supplied me with 2 bags of apples a week for like 3 weeks. I ate so many apples lol. In high school my best friend and I worked together. He was having a bit of a rough family life at the time due to his parents getting a divorce. He would always come to my place before work. When we got out of school, my mom would make us food a lot of the time, tossing some chicken on the grill or Just a hot dog or something sometimes. At the time I didn't think anything of it. Looking back now, and after some conversation, I've realized she knew that he could use a meal. Mountain Dew with pancakes for breakfast. The kids had fritters for teeth. My best friend growing up drank Coca-Cola like water. He moved and I'd go visit him and his family every summer for a week. Nothing stranger than waking up to a household where everyone at the table is eating a variety of breakfasts including cereal, oatmeal and egg, all with a tall glass of Coca-Cola. Literally every meal. It took him and his brother close to 20 years to break out of the habit. Went to friend's house as a kid. Sitting at the dining table for lunch. House phone rings. Everyone falls to the floor around me including my mum and dad. I'm the only one left sitting there. The dad informs me that I now must answer the phone. Hello, Johnson's house. I hold the phone out to the dad. It's for you. Everyone laughs. I'm so uncomfortable. The next time that phone rang, I was the fastest to the floor, I can tell you that. Such a fun loving family. Loved going around there. This is the weirdest version of not it I've ever heard of. Went to my friend's house after a high school exam. Walked in and his dad and stepdad were playing sorry while smoking cigars and his mom was making out with some random dude on the couch. She gave us $20 and told us to go get a couple large pizzas and come back. I don't know what was weirder, that my friend was like it's not even my dad's week with me, all incredulous, or when we got back that his dad and makeout dude was gone. Table all set for pizza and his stepdad and mom acted like it was just a normal Wednesday. Swingers. I hate when the kids walk in. A toddler drinking a wine cooler. The whole family was screwed up, but that stuck out to me for obvious reasons. I was only 18 at a party, drinking underage, and had no idea what to do when I saw that. I made a comment about how little kids probably shouldn't drink alcohol, but the kid's mom got scared defensive about it. How does one defend that? In Britain a child can drink alcohol from the age of 5, although that's supposed to cover like the occasional sip from dad's drink if they are curious about the taste, not an entire drink. Bloody hell. Slept over at a friend's when I was around 10. She was the only girl in her family and had 5 brothers whose ages ranged from like 4 to 15. Everything about my friend's room / sleeping situation was normal. But her brother's room was bizarre. They shared one big room with 3 bunk beds. Each mattress a fitted sheet, a pillow, and nothing else. No top sheets, no blankets, no comforters. Also, the boys didn't have pajamas. They all just slept in the clothes they had worn that day with their shirts tucked into their pants and belts on too. Their room didn't have a door, and neither did their connected bathroom or their closets. Went to a friend's house that had dog crap all over the floor, roaches by the thousand including dead in the microwave and freezer, and to make matters worse they had a healthy dose of bed bugs too. His excuse was he's busy from working all day. This guy was a hairstylist too. Yikes. Wait, this was a grown person? Not you visiting a friend when you were 7, but a friend when you were grown, who was also grown and had a job? No. Just no. Unfortunately I wasn't a kid and noped right out of there, but yes, he was a hairstylist and manager of a salon. His house is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. One thing I forgot to mention was the gnats and flies. It was horrible. Every time you took a breath those bastards would fly into your mouth and lungs. He had thousands of these bastards. His excuse was he's too busy to clean, and if anyone's bothered by it they can leave. When I was like 10 I had a friend that had a room that was just filled to the ceiling with trash and they just started playing in it and crap. When I was like 5 I had a friend whose room was like this, but instead of trash his room was filled with Legos. Like the floor was completely buried a couple inches in Legos. He just walked through the mess like it was nothing, pushed some Legos aside for him to sit, and started playing like it was no big deal. It was at a birthday party though, so I wonder if he dumped all his Legos on the floor to show off or something. That boy was a king, you peasant. Legos are expensive. Is adult with too many Legos. Kinda the opposite. Had a friend over when my dad went on a tirade screaming and yelling at my brother and I. We thought it was normal to have emotionally abusive parents. After that friend never came over again. I went to his house and his parents seemed a bit more interested in me. By the time we graduated high school I got my diploma and walked over to hug his parents before my own at the ceremony. Pretty much the same here. I have all of my parents' abusive catchphrases burnt into the back of my brain permanently. I thought it was the norm until I spent some time at my friend's place. They're twins. My best friend's folks treated me like an adult, respected my ability to form my own opinions, and fostered a more holistic understanding of the world. They eventually grew very fond of me and even offered to let me live with them when my folks split. When I came out as transgender, my biological family just found excuses to tell me how much of a crappy person I was. My actual family broke out the champagne and celebrated meeting the real me for the first time. My biological fam still doesn't understand why I don't make time for them. I babysat for a family on occasion and the kids would always ask for a cool cup, and I had no clue what it was. They asked for them constantly, but were too little to really describe them enough for me to understand. I mentioned it to the mom in passing one day and she started laughing and cut the tops off of some bell peppers and took out the seeds and then filled the peppers with tap water. The kids went nuts over them like they were treats. It was really weird to me that drinking water out of bell peppers was a thing to beg for on the regular. Having worked kids, I'm sure she did it one time as a fun joke and the kids then asked for it forever. Ha ha ha. Yeah, kids are strange like this. We were camping a few weeks ago with a friend and her kids, 4 and 6. I didn't feel like getting our camping plates, so my husband and I ate the chicken and rice dish out of our titanium mugs with sporks. The kids saw this and asked, "Are you eating rice in a cup? I want some." And so when we were done I had to wash our mugs and serve them each rice in a cup. Ha ha ha. At a sleepover for a friend's birthday, her mom made us spaghetti and after dinner, she threw the rest of the leftover spaghetti in the pot in the trash. Maybe I just grew up with frugal parents, but we saved that kind left over in a Tupperware for lunches and stuff. I was shocked to see it wasted. I watched my ex-GF's dad take his shirt off in front of me and proceed to wash his sweaty pits in the kitchen sink while talking to us, as if what he was doing was normal to do in front of company. My ex didn't think anything of it, since it was his house and he should be able to do whatever he wants in it, but I thought it was really weird. Like we were on our way out to see a movie, he could have waited like a minute and I'd have been gone and out of there. Intimidation tactics. I've got one from the opposite perspective. So to paint the picture, I invited a few people over for my 10th birthday party. The plan was a sleepover with video games and board games. Sounded great to my nerdy friends and I. Well, the day of the party comes along and one of my friends gets dropped off by the school bus with me. We walk inside and there's no pizza yet and the cake hasn't been picked up. I ask my dad and he starts screaming about how my mom will pick them up on her way from work. She won't be home until 7 PM at the earliest and my friends will be arriving around 4 PM. After my friend and I left the room, my friend, from now referred to as Mark, not his name, asked me if something is wrong and why. My dad was so mad. It was normal for him to be that mad when he forgot something. The rest of my friends show up around 4 PM. Friends Bill, Bob, and Frank, also not their names. I offer them fruit snacks when they arrive and tell them pizza should be there around 7:30 PM. So we are taking turns on Gran Turismo 4. When Bill asks if my parents are home, he'd like to meet them. I tell him that my dad's home, but he's sleeping right now as he gets up kinda early. This was a lie. He was taking his medicine, what I'd later that evening find out was heroin, and would be occupied for a while, and my mom would be getting out of work around 7 PM, which was true. The lie seemed to work, and we continued playing games. 8 PM rolls around, and my mom gets home. She has no pizza or cake. I greet when she comes into the living room. She asks us if we ate the pizza and cake already. I tell her that dad told us she'd be getting them. She asked where my dad was, so I told her their bedroom. She said she'd be right back and went to their bedroom. It wasn't long before you could hear them, clearly, screaming at each other. I noticed them arguing was making my friends uncomfortable, but I was unfazed. It was then that I realized that what was going on wasn't normal. I felt awful. I told my friends that my parents would likely be arguing most of the night, and if they wanted to go home I'd understand. They all wanted to go home. Due to the layout of the home, the kitchen was closer to the bedrooms than the living room, and that was where the phone was. So I went with each of my friends to the kitchen so they could call their parents to be picked up. The front door was also closer still. They each took turns calling their parents. I had to talk to Frank's parents for him as he was too shaken by what was going on. All the parents were there within the hour and picked up my friends. Mark was the last one to be picked up and asked if I wanted to hang out at his place for the night. I told him that if my parents found out I left without telling anyone, especially if I didn't leave a note saying where, they'd be even more angry. And I told him that I couldn't leave a note saying where I was going as I didn't want to have his parents dragged into it. We hugged and he left. My parents finished screaming at each other around 11 PM when my dad left screaming about going to his buddy's place for the weekend. I was reading a book in the living room when my mom walked in and saw that everything was put away and all my friends were gone. She asked me where they went. I'll never forget the pain in her eyes when I said they each called their parents and went home already. For what I thought was normal, I thought everyone's parents argue endlessly. I thought everyone had a parent that they lied for. I thought everyone's parents lies to them constantly. I thought everyone's parents got angry at them without prompting. I thought everyone always looked for exits upon entering a new place. I thought everyone knew how to act without being seen. I thought everyone knew how to act under pressure. I haven't celebrated a birthday since, or even tried. I feel no drive to celebrate it as all it does is remind me of that and many other horrible things around that time. I'm still friends with Mark all these years later. He's one of my only friends and he's by far my closest friend.